Number 1. Research. Gather information about your students' classroom fears. In order for you and your students to implement positive changes, you must first identify what elements of the classroom experience your students are reacting negatively to. This could be found in colleagues' observations, class surveys, class meetings, or personal conversations. If you have students who are not able to engage in this level of introspection, or lack the ability or interest to recognize their difficulties, take observations of the students, speak with colleagues who also teach the student, and engage the student and their parents in conversation. If the student is engaged with the school wellbeing team or outside support services, ask if they have any student-specific advice or triggers to avoid. Number 2. Desensitization. Plan your instructional practices to allow for gradual exposure to those areas students are most concerned about. For instance, you'll often find students don't like participating in public speaking or giving presentations. Incorporate opportunities for students to build confidence in this area, such as asking them to stand at their chair when they read aloud, or asking them to stand at the front of the class for another reason that involves little judgment of them as learners. Give feedback to students trying to overcome their fears. Loads of encouragement and positive comments, and one thing to improve next time. Encourage your class to give a round of applause for every instance of public speaking or front of classroom presentation. Model this appreciation yourself and remind students that audience have a role to play in being respectful to speakers. Number 3. Learner-centered. Structure your students' learning to allow scope for them to include their own interests in the work they are undertaking. In this way, you allow them agency in their learning and promote independence and responsibility for managing themselves. This may require some scaffolding for resistant students, so always have a generic backup plan you can implement. Students often want to express themselves or explore topics that matter to them. So in giving them freedom to choose, you engender a positive relationship and deepen trust. Where this strategy is not able to be implemented, seek students' feedback about the learning unit or materials to see how you can make it more relevant and interesting to them. Sometimes just the act of seeking their input will make them feel valued. Number 4. Flipped classroom. Flipping a classroom means that resources and materials that teachers have selected are engaged with outside of the classroom, often as homework. This frees up class time to extend their thinking about the topic and apply their learning in more challenging applications, fully supported by their teacher. Flipping can start small, with just one lesson or one unit building up as the students become proficient. For anxious students, this allows them to see what is coming and give them a chance to mentally and emotionally prepare for challenging or risky learning. This could also be achieved through the provision of a unit outline or similar documents and preparing students for the learning and assessment tasks to come, allaying some of their fears around unknown and unpredictable situations. These 4 strategies don't have to be time-consuming, but can make big gains with students' engagement in school. When you minimize fearful situations at school, many of the triggers that stop students attending can be managed or eliminated. What will you do tomorrow to start anxiety-proofing your classroom?